Hello, everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about like how to get your images on your computer, and a little bit of Photoshop basics. The first thing that I want to make sure that you're doing is taking large resolution images with your phone if you're not capturing your images with a computer. So you'll want to Google this. It will really depend on your phone. Um, you can do it with your iPad or something like that, but just Google how to capture a high res iPhone image, and it will show you where to go in the settings of your phone um, to make sure that you're taking large resolution photos. We want to take the highest resolution that we can just so our images have good quality when we upload them to talk about them. But that is the first thing I want to make sure that you're doing. Um, and I would just Google whatever phone you have and how to take a high resolution image. If you're not taking images with your phone, but you're taking images with a camera, you will probably need a card reader. Um, you can get these at like Walmart or Office Depot, anything. Many of them are just like pretty inexpensive, and you'll need one that can hook up to your computer, with the ports that you have. I have a Mac and I have one similar to this, so I have to have a different port. So just make sure that you can purchase one of these if you cannot use your card reader, or if your computer does not have a card reader for you to use. If you're taking images with a camera, which will use an SD card. Um, a lot of cameras have like a plug that you can plug into your computer. That is a good resource as well. If that's a little bit easier for you, you'll just need to check with your camera's manual. If your camera didn't come with a manual, Google whatever camera you have and see what kind of cord you need or how to upload the images to your computer. So, if you are taking images with your iPhone or some kind of camera phone, you're going to have to get them on your computer somehow. You can do this a couple ways, right? You can use AirDrop if you have iPhone and a Mac. You can use, emailing the image. Make sure that you're using the largest file when emailing it to yourself. A really easy like turnaround that I use all the time is Google Drive. You can have a Google Drive app on your phone, and then you can upload the images straight into a folder on your drive. You all have drives with your IU email, so I feel like it's a really easy way to get images onto your computer. So I've gone ahead and done this, right? I have taken an image with my iPhone, and now I've uploaded it to my drive. I have the app on my phone where I can just upload it to the app instead of like going through a browser or something like that. So I have the image here. I can go ahead and click these three little buttons and hit download. And it's going to come up here into my downloads. Um, there are a couple ways you can get it into Photoshop, right? You need to go ahead and open up your Photoshop application on your computer. You want to make sure that you have this program and also the Premiere Pro program. We won't be, like, as we move forward, you won't be able to just use, like, the Photoshop app. It doesn't have all of the tools that you're really needing. Um, so you want to make sure that you have the actual programs available to you. If your computer can't handle it, I would suggest going to a computer lab on your campus. But it's in the syllabus that you will need a computer that can handle these programs. So make sure that you're downloading the application and not just uh, the like, or you're downloading the program, sorry, and not just the little app on your phone. So once we're in the Photoshop screen here, we can go to open. I'm going to go to downloads, and I'm going to bring in my image. iPhones have .heic files. This is their file for like the live photos that have like little videos. And this is the Photoshop application. So we have tools to our left here, our toolbar. We have our control bar up here at the top. So you can notice like whatever tool I have, you can control the tool's capabilities right here at the top. Over here to the right, we have our properties panel, our layers panel. And if your workspace looks a little bit different than mine, you can go up to the very top menu bar where it says Photoshop 2023. It's a little bit out of my recording screen, but it's just at the very top here if you're in the Photoshop app. And you can go to Window and then choose your workspace. And mine's always on Essentials. Another thing, if your image doesn't have this grid, that's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and take off the grid for this photo editing. But this is the Photoshop program, and as you use it more, it becomes a lot, it's like pretty intuitive. So you can hover over things and it will tell you like what the tool is. And we'll go over some of these tools more in depth a little bit later. But for this first project, I expect you to do just like a very like simple editing pass, or just a pass that like enhances your photo in a creative way. This is the project for the story of your life. So it really just needs to match, the story that you're trying to tell with this photo. So, a trick I like to use, instead of going through my layers panel, and we'll talk about it more, and doing adjustment layers for everything down here, I like to go up to filter up here in my menu bar and go to camera raw filter. And now you can see that it's brought up like all of these ways of editing just right to us. So this is your histogram. This shows you about the exposure of your image, and a good exposure usually has like a wide range of peaks and valleys. But yeah, this is like kind of an interesting image to work with because it was taken at sunset, so the light is really harsh, the shadows are really dark. So yeah, I can go into these sliders and really play with how I want the image to look. But the key to editing is to not really overdo it unless the concept for your photo calls for that. But this one, I just kind of want to like punch up the shadows so there's a little bit more detail in the darks. I never really want to go like so far because it just like will mess with the integrity of the photo. It'll become really choppy and pixelized the more that you edit. So being subtle with these things is really important. You want to be taking photos that look really close to, how you imagine them to be. You don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to take this crappy photo and then make it so much better in Photoshop. That's never like a good practice as a photographer. So you want to be taking the images that you like and then using Photoshop to just like enhance things just a little bit more. So I'm gonna punch up my shadows just so there's a little bit more detail in the darks down here, and I can really tell down here in the bottom. I'm gonna up my exposure just a little bit too, because I want this her face mask to be just a little bit brighter. And I like the weird color of the photo, um, because it was just like a crazy sunset. It had stormed, and then the light was so yellow. But if I didn't like those yellows, we could come down to color balancing. And to fight off yellows, you add more blue. So you can see that it adds like a little bit more of a blue cast. But like I said, I like this yellow. I am wondering if I were to add a little bit more green, if it would make it look a little bit more like dystopian or something. So I kind of like this. Let's see what happens when it's pink. No, I definitely like just a little bit more green. And then with saturation, it's, like I said, a really subtle thing. You just want to add a little or take out a little. You don't want to be doing like plus 100 on these sliders. That looks crazy. Unless, you know, your concept really needs you to have some kind of like fried photo. um, and you speak about that in your artist statement. But I'm a really like subtle um, editor. You can play around with these sliders as much as you want in your photos. You just want it to be um, look like a photo that you could have taken in real life. You can go through some of these. Um, I use dehaze sometimes to like intentionally blur some areas. You can use clarity to kind of like sharpen up these areas, but the way clarity works is it adds just it adds a sharpening filter over every edge in the photo. So as you see, if I like punch this up, things are getting darker because it's adding edges to every single detail of the photo. I do like it punched up just a little bit. A vignette adds like a shadow around the whole image. So I guess in camera raw, if you go down, it adds this like darkness. If you go up, it adds a lightness. Those things can be kind of cheesy, so you have to be careful with those. But I do like adding like a subtle vignette around the corners here, just to draw the eye further into the photo. I kind of stay away from anything past curves here. You can really play around with your curves in this panel. Um, but yeah, I kind of stay away from a lot of these ones past here. But I'm kind of liking the way my photo is looking, so I can hit OK. And then it opens it back into the Photoshop workspace. Another tool I want you to know about is the crop tool. So if your photo is needing a crop, you can mess with the ratios up here. And I might just draw this in a little bit more. Once it is cropped to where I kind of like it, I can hit enter or OK, or there was a check up here you could hit. And then I want you to do file, save as, and then you could do your first initial, last name, underscore. You can do shooting assignment 1. And then you can save it as a PSD. I want you to save it as a PSD so you can go back to it if there are certain edits that once you get some critique, if you want to go back to it, you can. But another way to save it, or another way to save a JPEG so you can have this image on your phone and upload it to the project assignment, go to File, Export, Export As. This is opening up a workspace for saving. I want you to save it as a JPEG. Save it as the highest quality that you can, and then hit export. You can save it as the same thing. I'm going to save it in the same place. Make sure you know where your files are going and hit save. And now I have those images saved. So if you have any questions about basic Photoshop editing, please let me know. I'm happy to help. But these are just some quick ways to enhance your photos that you'll be taking for your first shooting assignment. So good luck and happy photographing. I can't wait to see what you all are going to be making.